To Book World on Trust TV. Now on this show, we talk with African and international authors, review books and adaptations while inspiring especially the younger generation into inculcating the habit of book reading. I am Sumaya Abubakar, and today we will be talking about the book Random Nigeriannaa, a tale of 6 struggles. But let's take a break, and when we come back, you will get to meet the author of this great book. Stay with us. World on Trust TV. Now, books are good company in sad times and happy times. For books are people who have managed to stay alive by hiding between the covers of a book. Now, you can feel infinitely alive curled up on your sofa reading a book. I know I feel that way. Well, today our guest for today is a Nigerian writer who holds a Bachelor of Arts and Master's degree in Literature. She's also a public servant, Halima Dalhatu. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So let's start with, how you are able to cope, because in my knowledge, this is your first book.
Yeah.
Now, how are you able to cope, by being a public servant and also trying to, write a book?
Well, when you're passionate about something, you create time for it. And for me, writing is everything, because you can relive your life, you can relive anything you haven't achieved through a book, actually. So I sacrifice hours, late hours, sacrifice 2-3 hours almost every day to just put down something. Even if it's just a paragraph, you're making progress. So that's something I look forward to every night, really.
Well, is there any inspiration that you need in order to know that this is the right time to write something?
Funny enough, I think I write best when I'm not very excited about anything, or I don't have something I look forward to doing, or if I even have issues, problems here and there. Writing is a getaway for me. It's very therapeutic. So when I pick up my laptop to type away, it's almost like you can create euphoria for yourself, So it's something I really look forward to, and that's when the muse comes, actually, when you're in the right mood. You have to get that right moment.
Indeed. All right, let's talk about the book Random Nigeriannaa. Now, first time I saw this book, that was the first thing that caught my attention. I didn't even know the content of the book, but I saw it. I'm like, no, I have to talk to this person. So how did you come up with the title? Because we all know how title can direct, can be catchy and inspire people to want to pick the book to read.
Yeah. So actually, I had a few titles in mind, but Random Nigeriannaa actually depicts the stories in the book. There are 6 stories there from different parts of Nigeria. So you pick a story of somebody in, say, probably Lagos, pick one from Bauchi, pick one from Port Harcourt, rope them in, let them share something in common. We're all Nigerians, actually. We all have struggles. So for it to be random, makes it more universal. You can tell a story and everybody can relate. Well, it's not a Yoruba thing, or it's not a Igbo thing, it's Hausa. So you bring them together when you pick them randomly and let people from different parts of Nigeria see themselves as that character you're talking about. So that was the main thing for me. I needed to depict my stories in its name. Very important. That title is very important.
Now we know it's all about Nigeria. It shows how patriotic you are in sharing the stories. But what inspired you to say, I want to tell a story of about 6 different people from 6 different parts of the country and find a way to get people to relate with it? What was the inspiration behind this book?
Like I said, it's a tale of 6 struggles, right? Everybody has a struggle, be it a big deal, a small thing, a big thing. It depends on what your struggles are. It could be with yourself, with work, with the environment, with circumstances you don't even have a hold of, like your destiny, So what people can't express themselves or explain all the time that I am who I am because I have a backstory. Now, if people read the backstory, but you empathize more with people, that this person is going through a lot because he has a story that has led him to be who he is. He's temperamental. Why is he temperamental? Check his childhood. What happened? Something must have led him on that path. Check him. Why is he so angry? He has lost so much in life and he's trying to regain it and nobody understands him. You tell that story, I'd be like, is this author talking to me? I mean, then you have a love life somewhere in your marriage, things are going bad, and you know, you say, wow, this lady experienced what I experienced. So you want people to relate on that level. The same things that we have every day, but make it very personal in a way that you have a story that can say, I had a cousin, or she went through this. Could it be that is why she's erratic today? I'm so sorry, I think I should reach out to her more. It's not her fault, she went through a lot, that kind of thing. So that's where this whole struggle is. It could be something you created, it could be something that just happened. Life happens, right? So I want all Nigerians to be able to pick a story from there and say, I know somebody, even if it's not me, I know somebody. So let me reach out to somebody and say, look, it's all going to be okay.
That's a good inspiration there. All right, let's talk about the books now. We know that you have about 6 stories, and from 2, I know you have dropped a hint on 2, but there's, walk us through just snippets of what the stories are all about.
Okay, so the first story is A Battered Mind, a story where the subconscious comes back to haunt you. A person that lived as a child and an abusive, he had abusive parent. The father was very abusive to his mother, and he lived like his father, you know, very randy guy and all. And then when he found somebody that had his mother's name, he repeated what his father did to his mother, to that person. That's Battered Mind for you. And then we have Jungle Justice, where, of course, this guy, typical victim of the government, his uncle used him to get a scholarship for him and other people from Funtua, but the guy now paid for, only his son went abroad to study. He now cut out the money and then used it for other things. The remaining 5 people didn't go. And he is a smart guy, went to Port Harcourt, started a business. Business went bad, ran away, came to Abuja. What he did to a customer in, what's it called, Port Harcourt, came back to haunt him through his cousin in Abuja, because he got somebody killed by lying, and they, you know, meted out Jungle Justice and killed her. And then happened, the same thing happened to his what's it called, his nephew in Abuja when he came, and he felt sorry. Then we have this Private Matter. That's a love story intertwined with a bit of telepathic, you know, story that brings 2 people together, where they read their minds, and then one tries to conquer the other. From a lost love, from a first love, actually. At the end of the day, the lady was strong enough to hold on to her marriage and resist that first love that was trying to use her love, take advantage of it for material gain at the end of the day. Because
now,
she had
these are things we've heard stories about. I mean, people a lot can relate to that. We all know how people tend to say there is that powerful hold that a first love tends to have.
It usually does have that if you allow it. So it shows her in a vulnerable state and how she fought and resisted. So you see, it empowers you to say, I can do it. I can also fight my own troubles and struggles. Then we have this other story that has to do with Abuja marriage. Typical Abuja guy now linking up with the babe that
you decided to shake the table.
You know, it's common. You know, you see this babe that has a lot of money, you already have wife and children, and you want to settle down with her because you have a lot to gain. She's sponsoring you on trips, spending on you, and you think that is a life, you know. So that thing went bad because his sister fought him in a way that was not disclosed in the book, and the marriage didn't take place. And he left angry, and she left, you know, she was left insecure, not knowing whether her brother will find out how she stole his wedding and everything and come hunt her.
Interesting. A lot of things is happening right now, you know, in Abuja. They normally call it Abuja marriage, where people would even say, don't come to Abuja if you want to find a husband.
That's true. That's true.
So yes, this is definitely,
so it could be either way.
Resonate with every Nigerian.
Yeah, it can, you know, it can. Then we have this interesting one, house number 4, where a mastermind, he was in the US studying criminology. A father was a politician. A father was indicted, everything confiscated. He couldn't finish his studies. So he came back with that idea of being a criminal and using it. So when he masterminds robbery, he's always at the top, the best at the game. But it went bad. He lived in these quarters where there are a lot of kingpins like him, and somebody there outsmarted him, and he lost his big fortune that he made from a very carefully, you know, planned robbery, you know. And then the last one is this, it's a bit magical. That's the Blue-Eyed Destiny, where a lady you know, lived for quite a while, couldn't get a life partner, and she, you know, everywhere she goes, people look at her and say, what's wrong with this babe? What's she, you know? And at the end of the day, she found out that probably in her early days she had an abortion, and that child came back to lead her to her destiny until she found something that was very close to love, which of course was hinted that she grasped it and, you know, settled down, but it wasn't really indicated. But it shows that some things we do early in life comes back to haunt us. But then if we are fortunate, that path comes to lead us away, especially if, you know, you're repentant, you're sorrowful, your path is cleaned up and you start afresh.
Indeed, all are amazing, catchy story, and it keeps pulling me to, okay, I have not reached this yet, and I cannot wait to read that particular story. All right, so let's talk about, earlier you mentioned that this is your first book, but then you wanted to juggle, you wanted to have about 2 books out. And at this moment, what I cannot even help to think is, how were you able to come up with these 6 stories, you know, to make sure that you were able to publish them at the same time? Some authors would have decided to maybe have different book, you know, for different stories. So how are you able to gather all the materials you need in order to get this book as one?
Well, the funny thing about it is that, you know, I pick up stories from even a sentence or even expressions. Now I can see your smile and be like, I'm going to rope something around a character with that smile. That character is going to be this, going to be that, based on a certain personality. So most of the stories here, if not all, had a tinge of something that inspired me. I attended a wedding, met somebody with blue eyes, these boys, you know, and then I used that as a story. With I had a gist that a friend of mine beat up a girl he picked up on the street, and that led me to battered mind. You know, so you have 1 or 2 stories that you move around the street, you see garbage, what can we do? Like in the, what's it called, house number 4, that garbage bin was a very, very big thing in that story. That was where all the money was hidden, and, you know, the scavengers came and benefited, and, you know, a lot of robbery arrests were made, you know. So everything you see inspires you. But for me, truly, I needed to have a collection where it will make meaning, not just to me, but to people around me, because I really struggle with people being judgmental. I really struggle with people being judgmental. I always give people the benefit of the doubt, that please, just know what's behind this. That person is reacting for a reason. So the story tries to bring that together and then bring people into perspective. And I think I picked out the stories from my numerous ideas that they should have a random thing that has to do with struggles. And these ones are the best stories that I have from my struggles collection, the general collection of the struggles I have.
It's a very beautiful thing. Now, I know that I want to deep dive and talk more about this, but let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we will continue talking with Halimat El-Hatu, the author of Random Nigeriannaa, A Tale of 6 Struggles. Stay with us. Welcome back to Book World on Trust TV. Now we are talking about the book Random Nigeriannaa, A Tale of 6 Struggles, with the author Halimat El-Hatu. So Halima, you spoke about, you know, where you gathered your inspirations for and all that, where you even mentioned that you want people to have an open mind and give people, a second chance of there might be something that leads to that. So apart from that, what other message do you want people to grab from this book? Because every book that comes with a problem tends to have solution at the end. So what do you wish to tell the viewers, whenever they open the book, this is what they should expect to learn at the end of each story?
Yeah, so every book they send must have a moral, right? So for me, apart from being judgmental, really, why I made A Battered Mind the first story is because we should be conscious of what happens to children. Whatever you do around them lives with them in the subconscious. It comes out when they are much older and they have no control over it. They usually don't. So that story really stands out for me, for that sole purpose. And of course that women struggling and men struggling as well in marriages where they are being haunted by their past. That's very important, that we should be able to strike a balance and be able to defeat whatever it is that comes as a formidable force. So at the end of the day, there's lots of surrealism in the book, where you see back and forth, in the reality and then going into the surreal world. It's for a reason, because there are forces that hold us back, that we have no control over. We must accept that there are certain forces that hold us sometimes, and then we need to build strength to fight. We need to be strong. We need to overcome our struggles. We need to do that, and that's very important. That anybody should take that as a message. Learn to overcome your struggle, no matter how big it seems. You can fight it. You can come out triumphant.
Indeed, a very beautiful message there. Now let's talk about the challenges. Authors tend to have challenges too. When gathering stories, ideas, writing, publishing, and all that. So did you experience any of that?
I think for me, it was the major thing was try and make it as appealing as possible. Your first book going out, you need to get the right audience. Who are you writing for? And I didn't write a novel. I wrote a collection of short stories because you're introducing yourself to the world. People that don't have patience reading, don't like to read a long stretch. They want to know what happened. So I wrote short stories where you can pick one and just say, okay, let me read this. For another day, I pick another. And you get what I mean, and you get the whole story there. But then the intriguing thing was that I knew I had to keep people hanging, asking for more. So that by the time you are writing a second novel, people are like, look, this babe didn't conclude this one. No, I need her to finish this thing. What has she written this time? Even if it's different, they get the perspective of your style of writing and they're happy with it. So I needed to get the right audience and appeal to the right audience, to get this kind of stories put together in one place. That's my major challenge. I had to keep going back and forth. Publishing was good. Masop publishers have been excellent. They saw me through the way. They tell you what is expected, how long it would take. So that had been smooth for me. Time, that's another one. You can write a book for 10 years and never conclude it, because sometimes it drags. And sometimes after 2-3 years, you go back, it doesn't feel appealing anymore. Did I actually write this? I don't want it that way. You change. I think I've changed these stories, not changed, maybe altered over 40 times.
Interesting.
Yeah, you go back, you're changing a whole paragraph. Then you're now adding something to the character. Then you're adding this, so it happens. So
now, was that with the help of editor?
No. It's all you. The editor now just picks it and said, look, we need to align it to fall in place like this. This has to be this. This is that's what the editor did. He doesn't change this, or the editor doesn't have to change your story. Because I don't believe an editor should change a story. Can only make your stories better to conform to what is required to make a good book. So that's it. Time was really a big challenge for me, really. Very busy life.
Yeah, so, speaking of writing, of course, it all boils down to, someone like me, if I want to write a book, I would just wish I could just, brush it off quickly. But then we keep hearing the whole time and all that. So right now, as a first-time, author, what would be your advice to young ones out there who wants to thrive, who wants to come and thrive in the world of books, writing a book? What would your advice be? What do they need to keep an eye out for?
First of all, they have to read a lot. Reading guides you. It gives you different narratives, gives you perspectives, it gives you different styles. You can now sift and then pick your own style of writing. It's very, very important. If you don't read, it's going to be very tough for you to write a good book. So you must read quite a number of books to guide you, one. Secondly, I think writing requires a lot of patience, and I know that generation now, they're always like, you know, they want it done now. It doesn't work that way. You want to write a go, it's not like poetry. Even poetry, you sit down, you have to go back and review. So writing requires a lot of patience and a lot of skill. Even if you don't have the best of skill, you can still write. An editor can give, you know, guide you on how to put it all together to come out nicely. So I think what they should do is, after reading, you get your own style, and nothing should go, everything is an idea. And first of all, you must start, even if it's just one paragraph. If you don't start, you never get to start. So start. Even if it takes you 10 years, do something, put something down. One day you look back and be like, oh, I'm making progress.
Indeed.
You get, so I think they learn to be patient, and don't underestimate yourself. You can do it.
That's a powerful message there. Let's talk about adaptations. You know, a lot of or some of us get approached on, okay, we want to turn your story into, say, a stage play, a theater, or a movie. So do you see any of your stories, you know, in this book, even though you already have plans for another book coming shortly?
Yeah, I was approached by a guy. He is a Brazilian. 2 of my stories, which they said will make a good screenplay, Battered Mind and the House Number 4. The plot is very swift and fast, and it's something they can create in series, you know.
Interesting.
So I hope that materializes.
That's a beautiful thing.
I hope it materializes.
I mean, we would like to follow up to hear
I hope it does materialize.
Of course, and that would be amazing. All right, quickly, you know, there is, in this segment, we tend to open a favorite page of yours, and then you read through. So please go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, you read it out, and then we'll talk about what that page entails.
Okay, I'm going to read from just the last 2 paragraphs from House Number 4.
Okay.
It's the 5th story. Okay. A week after Larry's arrest, the men in black suits returned to House Number 4 and raided the room of all the tenants. Nothing was found, but they took Maria along with them. He was gone for 3 days, and by the time he was released and freed of all the allegations of masterminding the theft, which came from Larry's statement, several arrests were made across Lagos, ranging from scavengers, garbage disposers, street hawkers to madmen. The marked dollars were found in their possession. What the SARS could not explain was how these people came together to form a gang of highly skilled robbers. Their conclusion was that there was a new wave of criminals who disguised as scavengers, madmen, and waste disposers. A watch for these men of a group of people became the new assignment for the SARS men. After his exoneration from the robbery, Marie spent most of his nights staring at the ceiling with a mindless vacuity. He flagellated over the loss of his loot, but the fact that he got away freely gave him some sort of succor. He never got over the fact that he had underestimated Larry, who had proven to be the smarter one than he was. As he insulated himself in layers of self-pity, a million fleeting questions troubled him. How did Larry get the prior knowledge of the planned robbery at Mr. Salao's residence? How did he know he had hidden the money in the waste bin? These persistent needing questions left him twisted in confusion. Emitted waves of withered sadness that left him forever embittered.
Interesting. I mean, first of all, I heard something about people who disguise, and we've seen stories of blind people, you know, doing drug trafficking and all that. So people disguising as scavengers and all that. Walk us through that, you know.
Actually, they didn't disguise. They happened to have the money with them. You know, he planned something, it went bad. He had to find a way to get rid of the dollars he stole. So it's not traced to him. So where else than to go to somewhere in the low towns of Lagos and throw away his loot somewhere, flying all over the place in the garbage? Who else would get it? Scavengers.
Interesting.
You get those people, madmen, people that would be on the street and they were found with dollars, money that some of them didn't even mean anything to them. They were marked money, but they happened to be the victims. Nobody could trace it to him. Nobody could, because he dumped it in somewhere, and you know, garbage, you know, and then people got it there. Who else? You would never go to a garbage stand and get anything, or even a dustbin.
Now, at the end of, you said this is the end of that particular
House Number 4.
So what are you teasing us to expect a sequel from that?
Almost all the stories leave you hanging like that.
Interesting.
Almost all the story, because it keeps it open for me. If people love this book, which I hope they do, it gives me an idea of what will sell fast for me. You know, appeal to people. For a lot of people, look, when are you concluding this one? Why did you leave this guy hanging? What's happening? What happened to him afterwards? What next? You get what I mean? And now the security men are on their toes, chasing all madmen and scavengers around Lagos, trying to get a group. They think it's a group, a syndicate, which is not. And Larry is there losing. He has lost so much, but at least he's free. He's thankful for that.
Interesting. And now this is why we like to bring authors here to talk, to them about their book. That way, before a reader could even grab the book, they would have an insight of what the author is thinking. Thank you so much, Halima Dalhatu, for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
Of course. That's Halima Dalhatu, the author of Random Nigeriannaa, A Tale of Six Struggles, of course. Now, like Paul Rand said, you will learn most things by looking, but reading gives you understanding. Reading will make you free, indeed. And that is it on today's episode of Book World on Trust TV. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to always read a book. Until next time, bye-bye.